do you bleed? Wait, what was the question?
It's your question.
I do voiceovers if you guys ever want to hire me.
No, you don't.
I only do certain voices. I'm a hack. All right, question number 3. All right. So I guess I'll give the example because I don't know how to word the question. So there's been times in my life when either I'm affectionate with my girlfriend, and whether that's around or maybe I'm telling one of my boys that type of story. And sometimes they'll harp. And, you know, a lot of guys tend to like, you're whooper, you know, this or that. If you dare to express any type of affection, why do you guys feel like that tends to happen between, you know, well, specifically today we're talking about guy friends, like between guy friends, and B, how would you deal with it? Who wants to go first?
I think I have an answer for the first part.
Okay.
So again, you know, you spoke on like the previous video about like being they want to have their opinions, right? And so it's like I think with some friend groups, right, they'll try to find a reason to belittle you in any way that they can, in which cases those are not your friends. Those are not your friends. So I personally, like, I just wouldn't have them as friends. Like, if they did that. Like, why are you, first off, belittling me for how I treat my partner? You know, especially if it's in a healthy way. You know, I'd understand if I was being shitty, you know? But it's like, the fact that you have to, like, hypothetically, right, come at me for, like, oh my God, he helps her, like, with groceries and all that stuff. He pays for her stuff. Oh my God, he's whipped. And it's like, dude, we're grown adults.
Yeah? Do you think that as a man, would you see like your friend, if he does something like that, would you feel any different towards him?
No, because I'd be like, good, as you should. And it's like, imagine being the one friend who's witnessing his friend treat their significant other poorly and then being like, yeah, that's right.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. That's
hell?
like, what's wrong with you?
Like, what? Are you good?
But maybe not the physical abuse. But I've seen guys who cheer on their friends if they're cheating on them.
I have seen that.
Of course, but I'm talking about in the context of a healthy relationship. You know, and it's like they'll still find a way to belittle you, and it's like, why, you know?
See, I want to take the top 2 because I'm about to say I know for sure that I think when it comes to guys, it's this weird expectation that when guys we're supposed to just be, you know, on the tough, this and that. We don't got room for that expression. So if you say something happy about, you know, your girl, y'all doing great and stuff, you're not going to get quote unquote giggles and laughs and all that. The best way that we interpret that somewhat that we are okay with it is somehow trying to like poke at it in some like fun way. But then again, this does go into that where you was going from, Jesus, where it's like, are these my actual friends? Because I'm about to say sometimes when you can mention that something good is in your relationship and stuff like that, there's people who can, I guess like poke that, and it's not offensive, it's just that, and like it's obvious there. But then you do have that like one or two, they slip something in there. This isn't a joke, this is an attack, and they use the disguise of oh well, it's just guy chat. This is just us with the boys and this and that. But the way you know that this was something wrong is that you probably think about it, is like that. Like, were you actually coming for? Like, were you coming for me? Were you like trying to say something about my girl? Like, are you like it doesn't sit right with you, despite the fact, and that's laughed at. And another clue is if they constantly be repeating like this little snide comment or whatever, and it's always directed towards you. If it's other people, like if it doesn't it doesn't seem to land there, or maybe it does, but it always seems to be a statement or something that's just like, you aren't, like, this isn't fun, you're trying to say something and this and that.
But let me ask you this follow-up question. where do you draw the line between, because we all joke around with each other.
That's correct.
Where do you draw the line between joking around and being disrespectful towards? Because obviously you're going to have to show loyalty to, and that's always the tricky part, right? You're going to show loyalty to your boys, but you also have to show loyalty to your girl.
Exactly.
So where do you draw the line? And do you draw the line? Do you speak up? Like, hey, I love you, you're my bro and everything, but you're not going to be disrespected. Like, where do you draw the line between joke and disrespect?
See, I'm about to say that I can't necessarily answer that for every individual. I think that's different, but that is going to be one of those, again, you're going to know when it does come off wrong. Like, there was a coworker of mine that recently was celebrating her boyfriend's birthday, and so they decide to hang out with the boys and stuff like that, and she already feels a kind of way about one of his friends that she's not particularly feeling, she's not exactly okay with and stuff like that. And then the interesting thing was he started getting just kind of fussy, this and that. And then one of the friends, I think because the temperature in the room got thrown off, they was just like, hey, it's his birthday, can you squash it? Just, this and that. And then they have to keep it pushing. Because sometimes it is going to have to be those moments where it's like that the temperature in the room is off. And it's like, if we're going to go any further, then we need to just address this right at the head. Like if there's you feel a kind of way in this and that. Or if I don't have to do that in public, I don't have to do that to make a scene. I can just have that, conversation with you man to man. But like you said, it is about that loyalty where it's like, look, at the day, on one side of it, I got my brothers. I'm always going to be, the boy that's this and that. But then I know, as they know, on the other hand, I'm her partner. I'm her boyfriend or husband, whatever. And so I have loyalty to her. She has a level of access to me that they don't. And so I'm not going to be put in that position and choose one over the other. This is where, establishing those boundaries come in. But then on top of that, it's just you do have to make those tough calls, especially if it is just those ones that just seem to always want to be have something to say about your relationship and how you're doing things and this and that. You might have to make that tough call, especially if it starts becoming more uncomfortable, not just for you, but also your partner.
Now, okay, so another follow-up question. Do you guys feel that there should be almost a tier between you've known your boy for a long time, here comes a girl that you just met, you just started dating? Do you guys feel that you should have more loyalty towards your boys compared to your girl? Or do you feel there shouldn't be that line of one matters more than the other?
I think eventually, okay, so let's say you started out with that context,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I've known my friend longer than I've known the girl,
Mm-hmm.
right, then I'm choosing my boy over the girl.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it gets so much more complicated if you've known the boy for a long time and you've dated the girl for a long time too. And
or you dated the girl for a long time, you just met the guy.
yeah, that too. But it's who would choose? Well, let me not, because I know there's people who might.
I think it also depends on the situation that
exactly.
Because what if the best friend, your boy, is the one in the wrong? Let's say something happens, and then you have to cut them out, or you have to take their side. I was in a situation where my partner was talking about one of my best friends, and because I know my best friend for over 16 years, and I know him enough to be like, okay, your story doesn't add up. I was stuck in the middle, but she obviously didn't take it in the way that I guess she wanted it. But that's where I'm like, okay, if I knew that he was in the wrong, I would have had called him out and would have said so. But if I know that, I don't care. To me, it's it's on the relationship and itself. I don't really care at the end of the day if you're my boy, if you're my friend, if you're a family member, if you're my girlfriend. It's all about who's the one in the right and who's the one in the wrong. Whereas some people try to play, well, I'm your girlfriend, or I'm your boyfriend, or I'm your friend. I have
that's emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
Because
to me too, what I also wanted to add, I feel a lot of the time that when guys do that, it's almost like they feel uncomfortable because, you know, maybe they have that mindset of that guys, you know, are supposed to only be quiet and distant and dry with their girlfriends. So the minute that they see something different, it makes them feel uncomfortable because they don't know how to react to it. So the, you know, might be just a what's it called, a reaction.
Well, another piece I do want to add, and I mean, in the context of just speaking as us as guys, I've been around it where when the guys get together, they put that front on where it's just like, you know, and she's like, you know, just making it seem like her being in his life is just like an inconvenience, or better yet, that she's deserving, like, you know, she deserves to be, you know, with him, like, you know, he's this and that. But then when they're actually moving about in their relationship, it's nothing of the sort like that. Where I don't know, yeah, I don't know where we got it wrong. Where when we were like talking among guys, we tried to put on this front of just like, you know, oh, and this and that. And then sometimes trying to make it seem like, you know, it's just either like, you know, she just won't leave me alone, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like when you're with her, you're the one that's always trying to, like, you know, get close to her and this and that. And I don't know if it's out of the fear of like, I don't want the guys doing like calling me whipped and stuff like that. But it's like, but acting like someone you're not isn't helping either. Like, you know, you aren't like that when you're like with her. So I don't understand why we're trying to put this show on for them as if they're honestly going to give points to you being, you know, that guy in your relationship. When it's like, if you know that the two of y'all just, you know, just be watching, I don't know, like a like chick flick or something like that, but it makes her happy and it makes you happy, do your thing.
And at the end of the day, you're the one that makes that somebody can call you pussy whoop. But if you're the one that can say, you know, I'm actually enjoying the relationship and not being a doormat, there is that distinction that you're the one that ends up making that line. And I feel not just for guy friends, but well, specifically for this video, I think a lot of the time they're projecting their own misery that they haven't been able to be happy in that type of relationship, or at least in that current moment, they're not in a relationship, or maybe they are in the honeymoon stage, you know, because that's typically the honeymoon stage where everything is great, and they're feeling like no. You're being whooped, and it's like, because I've even had people, maybe not friends but family members, who when it came to me and they saw me happy, I was whooped. A year later, I'm not in the same relationship, but they're in a new relationship, and they're with them 24/7, whooped, as you can even, you know, as you can define it, and it's, oh well, I'm happy. So it's selective when people want to define whether you're happy or you're whooped. So moving on to the last question.